I'll send out the link. I hadn't done it yet. I didn't realize we were. I mean, I knew you just said it. Right on. What is somebody saying? We didn't upset them.
That's the title.
Oh. Yeah, that's a clickbaity title for sure.
You understand me? Some people understand. You understand, Russ. There's algorithms we need to play into. No, we're not changing the title. We're not.
I'm on the record as saying I didn't make the title. Don't be mad.
Yeah, I made the second that because we technically we were favored.
Expert in media and content development made the title.
I don't dispute that. The expert in the media content made the title. Definitely. I like now you tweeted about the UNC game. Z, you waited.
Yeah, I waited.
That's smart. That's smart. Look at all these comments. There's a lot of good positive comments. My goodness. I feel like it's been a minute since we've seen this many positive comments.
Man, I thought Duke was done. From the comments you said after Kansas, was it? People said we were done. Yes. I'm not even gonna say the other comment I was gonna say. Never mind. We do have a lot to talk about. Shout out to everyone in the chat. We'll wait a bit till people get in. Where is this thing? YouTube needs to build up a bit. If you want to go to YouTube, also while you're on YouTube and while we have people trickling in on YouTube, please like the video on YouTube. Please hit the like button. You can hit the subscribe button too, but most importantly, hit the like button on YouTube. Get the likes up. Likes been a little low. We know you're watching. Support us. But yeah, let's get started. Can't find the intro. Oh my goodness.
Thank you for what you guys do, and appreciate you guys having me on.
We were trying not to score and everything. We took about 33s or something.
Yeah, we kind of felt that. We kind of feed off that energy.
This place is amazing. Like I really love Duke, and I love the atmosphere I'm in here.
Mark Williams, beast mode. Paolo first half, he had the cramping stuff. Fair enough. Beast mode.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. The Crazy Cast. The first episode after a major win from the Duke Blue Devils. They take down the Auburn Tigers, #2 ranked team in the country, 84-78. The Isaiah Evans game. Oh boy, we got a lot to talk about tonight. A lot of good. We got to talk about some bad too. But this is a big win. Duke gets their big resume win. Ryan here, Russ here. My guys, get it started. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
Just super pumped that we got this win, man. We needed it. We put up 84 points. We held Auburn, one of the best offensive teams. I think they're number one in offensive efficiency coming into tonight, and we held them to under 80 points. That's a really impressive defensive game. Needed this win. Going 2-2. What was that, Russ?
They scored 1.3 points per possession. That's still an incredible offense.
As a team that was putting up 80 to 90 points in the last week or so, like I'm fine with
pace matters. But sure, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm fine with how we performed on the defensive end against a team that can go off, as they did a few times. But a win we desperately needed. Going 2-2 against this stretch of non-conference games that we've had is huge for the fact of seeding come March. If we lose this game, this is going to have implications that go just beyond records and rankings, but seedings obviously come into play. So great win. Isaiah Evans got some burn like I and we have been asking for, especially in the last show. And it finally happened. He got put in for a little bit in the first half, and I don't know what his leash was going to be, but we didn't even need to worry about it because he went off for that 18 points, just torched the nets from 3. That was awesome to see. Didn't get in as much in the second half, and I wish he would have started, but I think we're just going to have to deal with the fact that Shire is going to put out the same starting 5 from the first half into the second half. That's a conversation we'll have later on, but yeah, and then Cooper in the second half just dominated. Just another great game from a 17-year-old kid who continues to play at a high level. So super pumped about this. And yeah, needed the win, got the win, and we got a 9th man in the rotation maybe. So I'm all for it.
I hope so. Russ, what you got, man?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things that I think are worth noting here. I find it really interesting that Auburn kind of had the same thing with Pettiford that Evans had. Pettiford scored 20 points in 18 minutes, and Duke had, Isaiah scored 18 in 16 minutes, right? That's kind of interesting how we each had a freshman completely go off, but they didn't end up playing like an enormous amount of game. You can sort of see Pettiford at the end. He seemed to want to be back in. Can't really blame him. I think that the most interesting thing that is very different than what we talked about coming into the season is we're playing slow. I mean, like we played Kentucky fast and we lost, but I mean, since that loss, 64 possessions against Wofford, 68 in each of the Arizona, Seattle, Kansas games. And I mean, again, Arizona likes to play 72-73. We played them at 68. Auburn likes to play 68 possessions. This is why I kind of gave you the face, Ryan, is because normally they're playing 68 possessions, 70 possessions a game. They played 60 possessions tonight. I mean, like, we very, very successfully completely slowed the game to a crawl, and then we won the game as a result of that. I mean, that's not what I would have expected coming into the season, but if it results in wins, a win is a win, right? If we win games, I don't really care what we choose to do. Cooper Flagg, obviously great. Sion was all over the place. I know he missed a couple of his free throws in there, but he was everywhere on the court, both ends. You got to love what he does. Tyrese Proctor was real aggressive, obviously had a giant basket when we really needed it. Isaiah Evans, we don't win the game without that first half, period. Like the end. And then Malik Brown, we sort of said, I think on the last show that we expected maybe more Malik Brown, the Malawach coming into this game. Brown is just so much better defensively right now. Malawach is really good at walling up, the rim and erasing some shots there. But Brown is already very clearly putting in a resume akin to that of a Defensive Player of the Year, the ACC type. I mean, Broom, until he got a couple of those slip screens, which clearly like Duke wasn't ready for. But like if you take away those like 2 or 3 really easy baskets that he got when Duke just wasn't ready for the slip screens, he would have been, 5 for 15 shooting the rest of the game outside of that? I mean, like, he ended up 8 for 18, 20 and 12. That's still, like, a great game by any standard. But really, so much of it happened in those just 2 or 3 possessions where Duke wasn't ready for the adjustment Pearl made.
Right.
And then all the rest of it, I mean, Brown did so much of that. I mean, clearly in the first half, towards the tail end, Broom was very frustrated with what Brown was putting down. Very, very obvious. So a nice team effort on the whole. And again, even though we can talk about how we're beginning these games, we are continuing to show that we like to fight. We don't give up in games. There hasn't really been a game that we quit, which I really, really like. It's very easy to get punched in the mouth by one of these really good teams and give up. And Duke, even in the losses, has not really had that happen.
Yeah.
So I'm really pleased with the effort. A huge win from a team that, since the ACC is going to suck this year, it really, really helps to have this win.
Yeah. Incredible win. Auburn is a great team.
Pearl's a great coach.
Pearl's a great coach. I just blanked on what you just said that I wanted to respond to, but Malik.
The starts of games.
Yes, the starts of games. If we start the way we do when we respond, this team would be comfortably beating really good teams.
Yeah.
Well, we've been punched in the mouth by Kansas. We've been punched in the mouth by Kentucky the second half. It's a struggle right now to start halves, but this team is definitely very, very, very resilient. To your point on Broom versus Malik, even the slips, yes, I think that's more tactical than Malik as a defender. Because
For sure.
we were switching, but one-on-one in the post, Mr. Broom couldn't do nothing with Malik. Like nothing. Yeah, no. It was a struggle for him. And I think I'm glad you said the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, because I think right now, if there was an ACC Defensive Player of the Year, it has to be Malik Brown.
Yeah.
He has 55 deflections in 8 games. Like, come on, man. I'm
not gonna lie. When I saw your tweet, I couldn't tell if Jay Billis was actually being sarcastic or being serious. No, I think he's being serious. That was so many. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you because that's an insane stat.
Yeah. Unless he wasn't, and if he wasn't, Jay Billis, I don't like you for that. But like,
no, it passes the ear test, right? It passes the eye test, passes the ear test. And, like, even though he hasn't played an ACC game yet, and I don't think he'll play enough minutes to be a national player, defensive player of the year, like, he's just not going to play enough minutes. But in the ACC, how many big men are really good in the ACC? You know what I mean? Like, he can really do some damage in the ACC against some of these, like, big men that are kind of mid, you know?
And especially the fact that Duke will most likely be the ACC defensive team. Hopefully, we don't take a step down from here.
Outside of Clemson, there's not another team that would compete, I don't think.
Yeah. But also definitely, obviously, Isaiah Evans. We've had a lot of discourse here. The chat's been going crazy for the past, 3 weeks. Play Isaiah Evans, give him a shot. They gave him a shot, man, and he delivered, man. Duke does not win that game without Isaiah Evans' spark. He sparked them offensively. Even as poorly as we played offensively, he still gave us a spark and gave us open shots, even just by him being on the floor. We do feel like we have to play him more in the second half. I thought Shire should have started the half with him, but we'll get to that later. But also a guy, I feel like, I don't know if Russ or Ryan mentioned him, Tyrese Proctor, man. Tyrese Proctor, he gave some give. He did have that turnover late, but overall, man, he's been steady, and he's been, we saw a lot of the slander in the offseason. We've been, there people been tweeting at Russ. People even will tweet at me, maybe Ryan too. When Tyrese Proctor has a bad game, we haven't heard all season. He's been he's taken that next step. And even moments, I tweeted it earlier this week, like, I feel like we needed to see him on the ball more. Had a beautiful lob to Kaman, had that beautiful one-on-one play to put us back up 7. I mean, Tyrese, he's giving us what we wanted, and I think he's making that step. But there's plenty to talk about. What do y'all want to jump in first? We're gonna have to talk about some negative. Just giving people a heads up. This is not a negative pod, but we're being real. So just giving people a heads up.
I mean, I think starting with I mean, we've given Isaiah a bunch of flowers, but I don't know if it can be given enough. Just a week ago, I don't know which one of you wasn't really agreeing if spot minutes for Isaiah Evans would have changed the outcome of Kentucky and Kansas games. But I mean, after tonight, anything's possible. We're not going to go back and replay out those games, but
I knew you were going to do that, though. I knew you were going to come on here and say that.
You do it every show. You do it for every other tweet.
Nah, you're a hypocrite, though, because you tell us about us But
You were
damn right.
mad that we bring up some old shit.
Yeah, I give
mad.
you guys,
That's
shit
hypocrisy.
for it all.
That's
You guys
hypocrisy.
do it daily after every show, after every game. I'm gonna get my one lick back in here, and I'm gonna say I said it. You guys called me out on it, and finally I get my flowers for remembering some damn take I had. All right, so shut your mouth. I'm taking my victory lap here. Give Isaiah Evans minutes. We might be a damn near undefeated right now if Isaiah Evans comes into those games to start the season.
Now we doing a little too much.
No.
I
I'm gonna take it.
I'm
But hey,
gonna cook tonight. A little cook tonight.
Shout out to Isaiah. I honestly, like they talked about on the broadcast, Duke being 9 deep now. I don't know why you play Gillis going forward over Evans, at least over Evans for sure. I don't think that's going to be happening. I mean, Gillis will obviously get minutes, but I haven't seen it yet in any of the big games. And so, this isn't going to be a bashing Gillis podcast, but just like we haven't seen what we wanted to see out of him this year. Super pumped that Evans did have this showing because now it sets it up to where there's no more DNPs going forward. He's going to play in every game. He's going to play in big games. I agree with what you said, Zion. I don't understand why we can't come out in the second half with a different lineup than our starting lineup. Go with who is hot. There's no reason for Isaiah to sit until the 13-minute mark in the second half. And then when he did, he got pulled pretty quickly and then came back in a little bit towards the end. It's just, that didn't make sense to me. But shout out to Isaiah. We've all known he's a dog. You saw the passion, you saw the energy he brought, especially after knocking down a few shots. He just gets hot, and I think you said it off air, Zion. He was moving really well without the ball, better than most of the guys that were on the floor. So a lot of them, he was creating his own openness, as you might say. So super pumped about that. Just really excited to see how he does continue to play going forward and maybe even improve a little bit and see more runs. So we can't say enough about him tonight.
Even Foster played well tonight. Yeah. Like I tweeted before the game, Auburn coming into this game, obviously maybe Evans might have blown this apart a little bit, but I mean, we still made 29 baskets and only had 11 assists, whereas we'd had a really high assist rate coming into the game. We have been much, much better off the catch than off the bounce this year. Like, period. That's non-negotiable. I mean, if we had come into this game and asked ourselves, well, who are our best 3 players off the bounce, that might have been like a really dire conversation, right? We were kind of having a who's the number 2 conversation last time, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought Foster did a good job with some off the bounce stuff, with some dribble drives, 1 or 2 of those layups rimmed out, which has been happening to him this year. But he still is clearly capable of getting good looks, looks at the rim, creating some good stuff. Evans, I mean, I know a lot of Evans' stuff was off the catch, but wow, I wouldn't mind seeing more of what he can do off the bounce. He definitely gives me a lot of good, warm, fuzzy feelings as it pertains to that. And then obviously Cooper, we haven't even really talked much about Cooper. He made some really important plays in the second half when they were throwing a lot of pressure at him. He came through. He made the baskets. He made the important free throws down the stretch when we needed him to make those. So I feel really good about that. And like the other thing I want to say is, our 2 big wins, Arizona and Auburn. I feel really good that the Arizona game, we clearly won with defense, right? The offense, we scored like barely over a point per possession in that game. We just put all of our eggs into the let's stop Arizona period basket, and it worked. This game was far more about, even though it was a little scary at the beginning of the game, it was far more about our offensive efficiency. Our offense was exceptionally efficient tonight. I mean, it was like almost over, what was it? It was 1 point per Ken Palm, 1.33 points per possession. Auburn had a top 10 defense coming into this game, and they'd played some really good teams, right? So the fact that we can win a really big game with offense if we need to, and we can win a really big game with defense if we need to, I think is also another thing that's exceptionally promising.
But even with that, I know the offensive numbers look good. The offense half court is still awful. It's abysmal. I think a lot of those numbers may be skewed based off of the hot run from Isaiah Evans. And we did have some,
for sure.
We did have some good offensive possessions, but overall there was still a lot of struggle. And obviously we scored fast break points tonight. I think at one point it may have been 13-0 Duke.
Yeah, it ended with a lot. I mean, we still scored without Isaiah in the second half. We scored 1.32 points per possession. I mean, like, even without Isaiah's run, it was still really efficient. I agree that in the half court, we have some things that we need to take care of, but Auburn is so singularly focused on removing those off the bounce shots that generally Duke has been better at. And so this was a game where we just had to give the ball to some guys and let them work. And luckily, that's the sort of game where today the guys in the bright lights made it happen. It's not.
But that's been the game ever. That's been the game plan. It seems like every game so far. Like it's shaped up to be. It worked out well, but like same with Kentucky and Kansas. It's just hero ball the last 8 to 10 minutes of the game for the majority of the game. Really, I mean, obviously Evans had his time to shine, but like. Just watch the offense is so frustrating. If you just watch other guys standing, you have Proctor standing in the corner, you have Kon standing in the corner. Sometimes Kon switches and does some ball screen action with Cooper. But like, if you go back and watch those 5 minutes, I would love to know the percentage of buckets that were made that were just straight up ISOs. Proctor hit some crazy shot or a couple crazy shots. Obviously, Cooper Flagg had a few great shots, but like a couple of those don't go down like they didn't against Kansas and Kentucky. And this is a completely different game. And I think that can't be stated enough.
I mean, you can say it the other direction too. If one or two of them go in against Kansas or Kentucky,
well, yeah, exactly.
Then, right? Like
it's still an ugly offense.
Yeah, I tend to agree, but I also think you're underrating like generally our off the bounce offense, like our creating for other players in an offense has been good. I mean, our offense, like our assist rate is really high on field goals made. So far, it's been exactly the possessions that did go our way today, like you were alluding to, where if we just had to dump the ball to somebody and let them work, yes, that has not always gone well, especially in Kentucky and Kansas. But, man, it's also hard for me to get, like, too upset about it, given that the Kentucky game had weird circumstances with the 2 injuries, and we completely just ran out of gas. And the Kansas game, I mean, again, Kansas beat you. They beat all these teams this year. I know they lost today, but we were right there at the very, very end of a game against probably the best coach alive. And I know it's Kansas and it's transition and it's defense. I know it's a lot of things, and the half court needs to improve. I'm not trying to like completely ignore that, but also it's good enough to win games when everything's going well against everyone except literally like the very, very best teams in the country.
Yeah, I agree, but I think we've been in those positions despite our half court offense, and I think if we do eventually, and it's still early December, but we can't keep on saying that, but if we do eventually start building a rhythm and a flow with our offense, then I think this team is unbeatable with damn near. But
yeah,
it's a lot of hero ball. It is, and Cooper is just better than most people. So he's gonna score a lot of those possessions. Or Tyrese. I mean, our team is talented. Like there's no one's gonna argue that our teams are not talented. So more often than not, talent is gonna win out. But it hasn't been clean basketball for the most part. But they got the job done tonight, and that's what matters the most. But I'm getting a lot of messages here about Kon. So let's talk about Kon. Hit a big shot late. I tweeted that I thought Isaiah should have been in the game if we were, subbing for offense, but Kon shut me up with that big bucket. But we haven't seen him. He 0 for 1 from 3. He was 0 for 8 against Kentucky. I think 1 for something against Kansas.
1 for 8 against Kentucky, 0 for 8 against Kansas.
Yeah.
0 for 1 today. 3 for 6 against Arizona on the road, but yeah. He's not shooting to his full potential yet, clearly.
Yeah, I'm not super concerned about Kon. I think tonight Auburn made it a point to not let him. They're denying him the ball a lot. They're playing face-up defense quite a bit on him. I'm just not super concerned about tonight's performance because again, he wasn't forcing anything. He didn't turn the ball over at all. Like tonight doesn't scream, "Oh my God, let's worry about Kon." I definitely thought coming into this game that it could have been a night that Kon went off just because it's back at home. It is a big game. It's at home, but Isaiah Evans kind of took that torch real quick. But I'm not super concerned about him. Some people are calling for Isaiah to start over him now. That's just we're not going to go like I'm not going to complain about playing time tonight and who I mean, besides Evans probably playing more in the second half. Like we're not manipulating the starting lineup, which we haven't even talked about the fact that Foster came off the bench yet. But with Kon, I'm not super concerned yet. He's got the stroke. He's got the off ball movement when it's necessary. Him and Cooper can play a pretty good 2-man game. So not super concerned yet.
I will say just one quick analysis.
Yeah.
I will say, I feel like most of the pressure with Kon and just like the reactions from people is just really based off of the preseason hype.
Yeah.
I blame ESPN more for that than anything.
Yeah.
Obviously Duke fans can react how they want, but we're reacting off of stuff like that. And I kind of tweeted it before the season. I was like, ESPN is doing a little bit too much with, Kon. Because if we came into the season and Kon, before this game, he was averaging like 13, 6, 4, 5, and like 3. We're like, oh, Kon is having a really good freshman year. We did not expect this. He wasn't heralded as Cooper Flagg. Yeah. He's come out of nowhere. But I think because we put this high bar for him off the bat, it's kind of affecting our perception of how he is to start the season.
The other thing I want to point out is in those 4 games, in the 4 big games that we have had, he's got 17 assists and 4 turnovers. I mean, he's got one of the lowest turnover rates of somebody that's got the usage rate that he has. I would have to assume, right? He's got a turnover rate of under like 10%, which, again, for somebody who has been involved in a lot of these big games as much as he has, that's on the low end for sure. I think he's a heady player. I think the shot will come along. I think it'll be fine. Most guys struggle, when it comes to shooting the ball as a freshman consistently. They go through stretches. I mean, somebody pointed out, I forget which game it was, but somebody pointed out, some of those early shooting numbers for Jared McCain, in those first few games. I think that by now Jared McCain's numbers had started to rise back up. But the point being that there's an adjustment period for the physicality of the game and what have you that Kon is still going through clearly. But as long as he's not turning the ball over and as long as he's, competent on defense, which I think he more or less is. He's not a great defender, but he is not get him off the floor bad by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. So would I have preferred to see Evans continue to ride with the momentum that he had tonight? Absolutely. Yes. But I also don't have any problem when Kon has clearly built trust with the coach and the coaching staff and his fellow players, in everything leading up to this, to continue to wheel him out in a game like this, even when the shots aren't falling.
Yeah. We can move on from Kon because that felt a little bit too negative. Let's go positive.
He's been good. He's been good.
Yeah. Sion James. Ryan alluded to it earlier. Our new starting point guard. Is he a point guard? I don't know. I still saw Tyrese off the ball, so I think Sion is our point guard it is positionless basketball. Duke plays positionless basketball, so the labels are what they are. But Sion James, happy birthday. Defensively, I thought in the second half, defensively, he was unreal. Mm-hmm. He was unreal. Some of those possessions he saved, coming over to make some block shots, still aggressive, going to the rim. Is this move permanent?
It's hard to tell. I mean, I don't think John Shire would make a change to the starting lineup just because it's his birthday. I feel like that'd be a crazy
you did ask us that before. I thought that was a crazy question.
Well, I had saw it on Twitter where someone was like, birthday present or permanent? Like, obviously, I think Shire, it's obviously more important to get the right guys out there. But I think it's permanent. I think, especially the way Foster played tonight. He played well off the bench, shot 50%, hit 1 or 2 from 3, just looked more calm and in control. He got to the rim at a decent clip like he hadn't in previous games. So, and then my only gripe with Sion was free throws. I mean, he was 3 of 6 from from the free throw line, and at one point was like 1 of 4. So otherwise he was all over the place, man. 2 blocks, 3 steals, played really good defense, was just everywhere. So I'm all for it. If we can get 6 to 10 points from Sion a game as the starting point guard with 22 to 28 minutes a game, sign me up. I love it. And he's obviously the players respect him. He's a good leader. So I love it. I hope it's permanent. And I think Foster fits perfectly coming off the bench.
I've got a little quote for you here. I think people are underrating the potential that Sion could start. Just the fact that we know what Sion is going to bring defensively.
If this is a Russ tweet from this summer, I swear to God.
I think there's a world in which, over Kon, or like if Foster's defense isn't coming around, maybe over Foster.
Who said the quote, Russ?
I said that on a podcast of the Crazie Cast.
Oh my goodness.
It has.
You guys drive me nuts.
I think that more than anything else, like just guys who can play 2 ways like that cannot sit. They can't sit. Like you can't let those guys sit that much. Like they've got to play. I think Foster is really good. I still really like Foster. I still really like Kon. I like all of these dudes. I just don't think a guy who plays well on both ends of the floor like that, and a guy who, as we saw today, so clearly makes winning plays. How many times in the second half was he just near the ball when we needed to get the ball, making a savvy play? The guy who said, I love guys who go both ways. So do I when it comes to Sion James, baby. You know what I mean? Like he's just so good at making those gutty winning plays, which is exactly what like Duke basketball should be, right? Like so that's why Malik Brown is playing more than Malawatch right now, and that's why Sion starting, I think, makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, I think to answer my own question, I think it's probably a permanent move at this rate. I think that this is the lineup we'll see for the rest of the season, and I mean, I think
unless something changes, right?
But what will change?
I mean, like if Sion struggles, or let's say if I just think because we have somebody as good as Foster, if Foster starts really balling out off the bench, like is there a world in which like if Sion goes through a shooting slump for a couple games, you put Foster back in, or if Kon, you know what I mean? Like I feel like because we've got 4 starting caliber guys, I think you can tinker based on, if somebody is slumping or not. But I agree with you that it makes sense, at least for the foreseeable future, starting him. Yes.
But I think it goes back to your point that he's even if he doesn't shoot, even if Sion doesn't shoot, you're still getting a whole lot of positive from the defensive side.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever really going to lack, especially we've seen it in the biggest games against good offensive teams when it's Auburn, Kentucky, even Arizona you could put up there, even though they're struggling. Like he just brings so much defensively that I think you're probably going to stick with that. Even in the games he may not shoot the ball well. And if Foster played really well off the bench today to start in the first half, and that maybe just be a better role for him. It might be just a role for him, and it makes us deeper if he plays better off the bench. But yeah, I do think eventually, maybe that was the one. Will Blast said it in the comments. Maybe there could be a situation where we just start Malik Brown at some point, because you can't just deny what he does on the floor. And I still think Kaman has a lot of value, and I still think he's a beast in his own right. But Malik, especially with the games, how many times we've started off poorly and we insert Malik Brown and the game changes, it might get to a point where we just want to start the game off better and put Malik Brown, at the 5. But That may be the only change I see in the future, but I think overall the lineup might stay the same.
Who per Basketball Reference, who leads Duke in box plus minus?
Isaiah Evans? No, I don't know. No,
maybe
Malik Brown.
Maybe now.
I was gonna say Malik Brown would be my second guess.
Sion James.
Oh, Sion James. Sion would be good. Good
I know it said he was -1 today, but like, I think that was only because like the plus minus tonight was like just so incredibly skewed by that Isaiah run. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't really know that paints the whole picture.
And we got down 13-2.
Yeah, for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
This is random, but like I feel like we at least so far haven't given enough love to Cooper Flagg, just like how insane he is. I'm not like this isn't a shot at any of us. I just feel like the man played 38 minutes tonight. And it's just been, he's 17 years old. He's just, and I know he gets all the praise and love on ESPN and everything, and that's fine. But like, we're watching something special tonight. And I there was a stat that I got sent to me here real quick.
I think I was just looking. I got the same.
Yeah, he is. Oh, Jesus, my phone's glitching out. So he had 22 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, and no turnovers. And no other player on the men's or women's side has had a stat line or better against a stat line like that or better against an AP top 25 opponent in the last 25 seasons. Yeah, thank you. Everybody can read it better than I could. So,
I mean, like, I always hate,
there's a lot of extension to those. To that
LeBron stat.
Dude, I always hate. There's always like some shit where somebody's like keeping tabs on it. It's like nobody has done 23 points on 55% shooting.
Yeah, no,
plus 6 assists and fewer than 3 turnovers,
and had
against
one
a
shot.
top 50 Ken Palm team in the month of December. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
no, trust me, I have called out tweets like that in the past. This is a pretty impressive stat line against the number 2 team in the country at 17 years old. He is insane what he's doing, mostly consistently. I guess against Kansas it wasn't that great, but that's a different story. But just shout out to Cooper. He's going to go down as one of the great Duke freshmen of all time. I just want to make sure that we're not. I know we talk a lot about other guys, but just want to make sure we're showing love to him.
I thought I did a whole bit earlier in this show where I was like, he made the big plays down the stretch and he made the big free throws and he did the.
Ryan said more. Ryan said, "Give him more love."
All right. Sure.
I'm just making sure that I feel like I haven't said it either. So maybe it was a testament to how I'm talking. But like, just want to make sure Coop's getting the love that I feel like he deserves, because this team is nothing without this man. So he's not even a man yet. This kid's a child.
He said, "I love nothing more than a 7th tier stat." Said Cale Floyd. That's good.
Wait, how old is Coop, man? But no, I think we definitely. This is as crazy as it sounds to expect from a 17-year-old. Yes, he's 17.
For another couple weeks, yes.
Yeah, for another couple weeks.
Yeah, then we can't use that.
I think this is kind of what I expect from him. This is the type of player he is. This is not I guess surprising to me. I think this is what he does. He does everything on the floor. He had 10. I'm pretty sure he had 10 rebounds in the first half. He competes. He's a competitive dude. He wants to win more than anybody on the floor. He doesn't care how we get there. He just wants to win the game. So he's going to do everything in his right to win the game. And that's what you love about him. That's why he fills the stat sheet. My only concern, not really concern, I think it's more so just a surprise to see is how much he does shot hunt. Because this is not the player I've seen in my lifetime. Where, Cooper has more been, just make the right play. But, I think in the situation, especially with the half-court offense, he's finding himself in a lot of, situations where he has to shoot the ball. But I think we could definitely do a better job of putting him in easier spots. Duke can make the game easier for him. I feel like the game it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of pressure on his body. The man was about to start cramping again in the second half. With the hero ball and just like the bad half court offense, I think we could use him more as a screener. I said that last game against Kansas. Put him in situations where he could just catch a lob. Like, we don't need him going ISO. He's never been an ISO player like this his whole life. So I think we could simplify his game. And I think, that takes time. By February, the game will be easier for him. So, but he's a dog, man.
Yeah. I mean, and we don't play another like top 50 Ken Pom team until January, and we don't play another top 25 Ken Pom team until February 22nd. Right. So like we've got like a lot of time for him to continue to develop and, get used to, because like much like I said with Kon, he too is getting used to the physicality of the game. He too is, figuring out a lot of these things. I know he's got like a lot of experience playing with pros and things, but, the rigmarole of a game in and game out, heavy minute load, heavy usage load, right? Like that's going to take its toll on a player's efficiency, especially when they're so young. So by the time we get to February, I definitely expect some of that to move in the right direction. I mean, we've seen it before with Duke freshmen. I mean, we've seen guys in the first month, they miss some shots, they miss some of those mid-rangers, they make some ill-advised plays, and then by the end of the year, they're in great shape.
Yeah, no, definitely. Cooper Flagg. The start to the season still terrific, and I think it's just going to get way better from here. What else we took? I know people do want us to talk about Louisville as well, but what else from this game have we not covered?
I think that we could talk about the first few minutes of the game.
Oof. Oh, man.
I mean, like people gave me some grief because I said that this was the second time we've played against a coach who's made it to a Final Four, and it's the second time where we really we spotted them like 10 to 15 points right away, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's merely. I want to be like cautious now. I say this because I feel like I think. In some ways, Shire gets both underrated and overrated. Depending on what element of the game you're talking about and to whom you are talking. I think that a lot of what he does get underrated, but I also think when it comes to the first few minutes of a game and your team's energy level and the plays that your team is attempting to run at the beginning of the game, and certainly when you start to see in those first few plays what the other team is trying to do and your ability to, disrupt what they're trying to do straight out of the gate. We've had some issues this season doing that. And I feel like that's not something that's exclusive to this season. And more than anything else, I think this harkens to the whole conversation of Shire's a young coach. And so we expect there to be some speed bumps for a young coach as he figures out his style and he figures out what he's doing, and he figures out certainly this team that is very brand new to him outside of two players, right? Like there are going to be some of those bumps in the road, but also if you're at Duke, fans expect you to compete as a coach with Bill Self, with Bruce Pearl, with the best coaches in the game right away. And that's why every time we've talked about, the pressure on Shire, I think it has less to do with what maybe my personal expectations would be or not, and more to do with if against these top tier teams, the fan base begins to suspect that against the best coaches in the league, that we are at a coaching disadvantage, then that's not something that Duke fans will tolerate for very long. That has nothing to do with Shire's long-term ability. It has nothing to do with his ability to adjust over the course of a season, which we saw last year was good. And certainly the first year it went really well in that respect. So again, I think it's this weird thing where everybody in my mentions being like, well, he's a terrible coach. Well, no, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is Duke fans expect him to compete at a level or above with the Bill Selfs and the Bruce Pearls right out of the gate.
Right.
And that's a big ask, and maybe it's an unfair ask, but it is also what comes with the job. So that's something to watch going forward. I don't know how many great coaches we'll see for the rest of the season. I think Brad Underwood at Illinois is a pretty damn good coach, February 22nd, right? But, like, you know, we've made it through the 4 best coaches I think, you know, we'll probably see for a long time this season, and won 2 of those games. We went 2-2. That's very good. It could have easily been more than that. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation to have, I think.
Yeah, I think you hit on the head there. I mean, he's learning a lot. I think tonight he learned something about his team that he may have not learned, you know, early in season, or he may not, you know, have seen in practice, or, you know, that's why they play the games. That's why they play the early non-conference games. I do think, you know, there are things we could do better. I think rotations, you know, I'm not a coach. I'm not gonna say I know more than Shire. Let's get that out of the way.
We don't see what he sees in practice.
Yeah, we don't. But from what we're seeing, at least from how we start second halves, especially, or how we start games, there could be better, you know, rotations. And I think he's figuring out his team. Just like everyone's saying, you know, play Isaiah Evans, and we see tonight Isaiah Evans was a spark for us. You know, now he's going to play Isaiah Evans. But, you know, there could be improvements. But he's learning, and you only hope by January, February, March, which he tends to lock in on his team by then. That's what the trend has shown. He locks in on his team February, March, and they reach their full identity. You know, because the don't plays comment was interesting, because I see it, I understand it to a degree, but it also comes back to bite you in big games when you've already kind of admitted it to the public.
And when where it really bites you is because the ACC sucks butt during the regular season. Then that means if you lose too many games, then you're relegating yourself to this like perpetual 3 to 5 seed arena that just simply is A, it's not going to cut it with Duke fans, and B, it's going to make it so much harder for you to win a title or to get to the Final Four. I mean, you know, in the same way that I think we could have gone farther with Mark Mitchell, you know, in the game in the first season versus Tennessee, you know, also in that second season, look, we were ahead when Jamal Shed went out. We don't know what would have happened the rest of that game, but that game was still very close without their best player. And then we played a team that we had already seen twice that season and just got the brakes beat off us in a way that was very frustrating to watch, right? Like, so you can't be sitting there going, well, it feels like Kevin Keats of all coaches is like outmaneuvering us here. You know, like that's a 1-game sample. That's just not something that over the course of a larger sample is going to fly with Duke fans. So these big games really, really matter. The game against Underwood in Illinois is really going to matter. The 2 games against UNC are super going to matter. You know, there's just the margin for error is so shrunk that we've got this young coach that needs, you know, a little bit of grace as he continues to figure out his world here. But like, man, we don't have that much grace when the conference sucks butt. It's a tough situation.
Yeah. I mean, people are saying we should play
yeah, I'm looking for it. I don't really know I don't know if we could get that or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
There was a big media person, by the way, who did say something along the lines. I forget who it was. Maybe somebody saw it on Twitter that said like they would like Shire to show more fire. He doesn't need to go Dan Hurley level on refs, but like they got the impression, you know, at a couple of points in this game that like he was just like letting the refs do what they want to do instead of trying to control them a little bit the way that some of the best coaches do. Yeah. Which again I think is interesting, and he's a young coach. Maybe he's still figuring that out.
I'll be honest though, when I went to March Madness last year, I was right behind like the Duke bench. Shire was getting into coaches.
He was getting him? Great.
Into the refs. So, I've seen it. I maybe he's a little bit more selective when he does it.
Which would be great. Which is good.
Yeah. But yeah, I've seen it. So,
and last season, I feel like he came around towards the end of the year too. We were all calling for him to show some fire, and we all kind of collectively agreed that he was showing more fire towards the end of the year. But yeah, I just don't think it's in him.
Where's Bruce Wayne tonight?
Oh yeah, he didn't show up. He didn't show up.
No show.
That's what I wanted to say.
He's in the back.
Tar Heels, man. Oh my goodness,
sorry, man.
When you said we got punched in the mouth and we could have just laid down, I was gonna say like the Tar Heels, we just laid down tonight. Bama was just slapping them around. Oh my goodness,
that's the second time they also laid down against Auburn. Really,
yeah.
Yeah. So oh man, I mean the ACC 2-14, like I tweeted yesterday. I don't care. I'm sorry.
Don't care. We knew the ACC was bad, man.
As long as we beat Auburn and we win the ACC and we beat Illinois and MSG in February, they giving us that 1 seed, man. So I'm not really worried about that. But speaking of ACC play, we are in ACC play now. Sunday, Louisville. What's your early thoughts? Because I think we should be blowing them out. I'm sorry to say. We have to.
I'll let Russ go because I don't know as much about Louisville as probably you guys do. So
they got absolutely boat raced yesterday by Ole Miss.
Destroyed.
At Louisville, at the Yum Center. They got massacred. Our old friend from Virginia Tech, Sean Padula, completely having his way with Louisville. Louisville just lost a couple of guys too. They've got some injury concerns.
3 guys.
Yeah, I mean, they do have some. They had enough depth coming into the season. They'll still have 7 guys to run with us, but I think Pat Kelsey generally has been a dude that wants to shoot the ball a ton. He wants to play as fast as humanly possible. He wants to play 9-10 deep. So to play 7 deep is definitely not what he would like to do. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the games that he has lost this year, they've won every game that has gone to 70 possessions or more, and the 3 losses, 67 possessions, 63 possessions, 67 possessions. I would be stunned if Shire does not try to slow the game down again against Louisville. That first ACC road game can be tricky. I have no doubt that a very, very energized Louisville fan base, because they don't have Kenny Payne anymore, so who can blame them?
Yeah.
It could get a little hairy if Duke decides they want to try to sleepwalk into the thing. But if they play the way that they should play, which, again, against non-top 12 teams in the country, they've taken care of business. I think they should be fine.
Yeah. I mean, I think losing Pryor was big for them. That was actually one guy who I've looked at him play, even though his numbers in a little bit inefficiency. I was like, oh, he might go off against Duke. He just looks. He got the hair, that different hair color, the swagger he plays with. I just know this guy's about to be very annoying. He's out for the season. So
you knew Pettiford was going to be the guy tonight.
I knew it. Once he hit his first 3, man, he is a pure New York, New Jersey guard. And
he's got that mean face. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Once he see one go in, it's really a wrap.
He's 6'1" and he had a mean ass face. I was like, oh, this guy is going off, dude.
But yeah, I personally think we need to run Louisville out the gym. But at the end of the day, just win. Just win. Get the first win. Get the first ACC win under your belt. A road win. And then you can. I don't want to say take a bit of a breather, but obviously the next couple games won't be as grueling as the first month has been. I think it's been getting this win has been made. I guess the start to the season is still pretty successful, even with those 2 close losses.
I said we need to go 2-2. We went 2-2. Louisville does shoot a gajillion threes. They shoot one of the highest 3-point rates in the country. Now they've been shooting it very badly so far this year, so that's good. but teams do tend to make their threes a little better against Duke. So, run them off the line in a major way and force them to try to honestly do what Auburn was trying to do to us tonight, right? Run them off the line as much as you humanly can. Force them to go inside against Malawach, against Brown, against Flagg, against the major size that we have, and force them to score over the top of that. I think that's a recipe for success in a big way.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're going to pressure us a lot. They force a top 10 turnover rate. Obviously, the Indiana game was a disaster for Indiana. It was more or less the same type of deal. Tonight we did a great job taking care of the ball. Just do the same thing. It'll be fine.
Honestly, I may want to run it. I know you said slow it down. I may want to run against them for the fact that I'm not sure they have enough bodies that they want to play. In a game like this of high stakes.
That's a fair take. I just it's definitely I like that both against Arizona and against Auburn in our two biggest wins, Shire made a conscious effort to do the opposite of what the other coach wanted to do. And it worked out well for us. And when we did try to outrun Kentucky, because Kentucky also super wanted to run, again, there were injury stuff, so that's kind of weird, but it ended up biting us a little bit, right? So I don't know. But your point about their injury problems and maybe us gassing them, that's a fair counter.
And now that we are apparently playing 9, so we're playing more people.
I'm still not convinced.
We'll see. We'll see. Listen, if Isaiah Evans does not get for another game, if he gets another DMP, listen, I don't want to be on this on Twitter, man, because that's going to be the nastiest. Oh my goodness. We're not going to go there. Let's hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I want to remind people that Grayson Allen had a couple of games as a freshman where he didn't go off to that extent against a team that great, but he had that game against Wake Forest where he scored 27 points, and then he played 11 minutes the next game, and then when it came down to the NCAA tournament, the first couple of games of the tournament, he was not playing very much.
That's fair, but I also think that 2015 team was so established.
It was different. You're right.
Yeah.
I just meant more when coaches get locked in, when they have their idea that one big performance, let's say he has a not great performance against Louisville, then we could easily see in some random game he plays 2 minutes or whatever.
At least just put him in the game consistently. But
I agree.
I don't think we know he's a microwave scorer. This is exactly his profile. Sometimes, microwave scorers go 2 for 8. It's just gonna happen. It's natural.
Yeah. Just give him some run right away and let the game play out from there for him.
If you let him play, then next year, if we had him on the team with the guys that are there, he could be All-American level. But we've got to keep him in the rotation. We got to keep him developing, and we got to keep him happy. He's got to feel valued, and if he feels valued, then he is a guy I firmly believe could be an All-American type of player much sooner than maybe people would think based on those DMPs.
Yeah, for sure. Chris Boyd, I don't usually entertain people like you, but listen,
they do let anyone make podcasts. That's the beauty of podcasts.
They do.
Yeah.
But you also can't argue with the numbers we've been putting up for years. So check the numbers, Chris. Check the numbers. Yeah, I don't know. It's 1 o'clock. I guess I'll plug. Field of 68 did have John Shire on and Isaiah Evans post game. So go check out that on the main page. I'll watch that after the game, after the show. But yeah, I think unless we coming back on Sunday, are we coming back on Sunday? No, it doesn't sound like. I seen Russ's face.
Maybe.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see how it goes. But we've been on these very late after every game, so it's been a little bit. You still, I got to go to work tomorrow. So
move to the West Coast.
Oh my goodness, not happening.
West Coast, Best Coast.
Not happening. But you know, we try to give y'all as much shows as possible, but you know, may have a little bit of break here because you know the games aren't as crucial. But you know, you got a shout out to Jalen Blakes. Yeah, he's been hooping. Shout out to Jalen Blakes, man. Jalen Blakes. I saw a Mark Mitchell shout out too. You know, I don't know if he's been hooping.
I think that one might have been more sarcasm than it was.
No.
They meant that I shouted out Mark Mitchell.
Oh. Got it.
There was a guy who shout out Mark Mitchell.
I want to say Stanford's strength of schedule has been like 321st in the country right now. Like, don't get me wrong, Jalen Blakes is hooping.
No, his numbers look crazy right now.
They look crazy, but they did also lose to Cal Poly at home. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like there's not like world beaters there going on right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully for his sake, I think the coach at Stanford's really good. It'd be nice if he stuck around, and for like if Stanford was good, it would help. It would help the ACC, man.
Russ is the only man to hear it's 1 o'clock in the morning for Zion and start rambling about Stanford and Jalen Blakes.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, that was just for me.
I'm wide awake, baby.
Oh my goodness, man!
I bet you are.
You go start your live after this. But we oh my goodness, we did have this crazy comment. Look at you, bro. Come on, bro. Like, come on, bro. Trent, whatever your name is, take that L.
Man, all those Auburn level errors in grammar in that.
Oh my goodness.
My goodness.
Come on. And all those Auburn fans who showed up to camera tonight gotta go back home with the L. I know a lot of y'all use your rent to pay for that game, so you know that's tough.
That was impressive. I was.
It was. I'm not gonna lie.
I was impressed.
They showed up more than UNC fans would in that building. So
that's true.
That is crazy. Go watch Hot Frosty. Give him Hot Frosty, baby. Man. You know,
Santa Class, December 14th on Hallmark.
You know,
December 14th.
Okay, another premiere. You know, Russ is churning out movies, so go support, man. But we appreciate y'all for tuning in tonight. Big win. Go celebrate this win. It's a good. We needed to see it. Oh man, yeah, I'm gonna go check that out, Alex. But yeah, we appreciate y'all.